Okay, so welcome Cory Kaggie. She'll be doing a presentation on painting who I am, which will be telling her story of being a female car painter, and we have a female, yay, woman, and how I got to be an artist in a culture where men are usually recognized. She will be showing some pieces and sharing her love for lowriding and other aspects of the culture. Cory is a true artist and is a recognized female painter in Salt Lake City. She's a co-owner of Utah State Collision. She got started in lowriding through breakdancing and drawing. They both drew her to the art of lowriding. Growing up, she would see all the cool cars and decided that she was going to have one. And that's where it all started. In order to do things, to make things happen, you have to learn to do it yourself. So through hard work and perseverance, she dedicated herself to learn the skills. 20 years later, she assists others in making their dreams come true by helping them color coordinate their lowriders. Once they figure out what they envision, she makes them a reality. She is a member of the Taking Over Car Club chapter in Utah. They dedicate themselves to the community and to the next generation to come. And she helps to get kids excited about building bikes. She sets an example to show them what it takes. So we're excited to have you. If you're ready to go, we're ready for you.
Hey, look, Joe, I got the lowrider thing in the back. And then Anthony, I feel like you described my whole life about hip hop. I'm not, forgive me, I'm new to Zoom. I learned how to do Zoom all last night. So we'll go from there. But
we are here if you need anything. Feel free to just let me know and I'll see what I can do technically. But for now,
okay.
the room is yours.
All right, thank you. So I feel honored. It's a pleasure to be here, guys. So what really drew me to lowriding is breakdancing. So when I was a kid, that's all I did is I wanted to breakdance. I wanted to be on top of the world and just dance. And I mean, it's funny because sometimes in life you don't know where it's really going to take you, and you know, and then how life is. This is where what it approaches. Excuse me. It's funny when you grow up, you don't know exactly where it's going to take you. You know what I mean? So, as a kid, let's see, where'd you go? Can you guys see this?
We don't have your presentation yet.
There it is. Sure.
Yeah, once you select which screen you want to share, the big button on the bottom just says share, and that should have it all pop right up. Let me know if you're having an issue there.
Yeah, it was easy for me last night. Oh yeah, there it is. There it is. Sorry, guys.
You're okay. We'll get this. Sometimes this happens. And you're not the only one today, so no problem.
Oh, okay. Can you see it now?
Yeah. We can see it now. Awesome. Take it away.
So this is me as a kid at the park breakdancing and stuff. So that's all I would do. Day in, day out, I would breakdance. And as you can see, we have a little picture of breakdancing. What was cool about the breakdancing stuff is that, like, I figured, okay, I'll breakdance. But in order to breakdance, you had to learn moves, right? So I would pull on the videos of the rappers and stuff, and you'd see the lowriders, and I thought, how cool would it be just to be in a video to dance and have those cool cars behind you? And at that point, I figured I was gonna like make it to the top and breakdance. And as I got into middle school, as you see this guy right here, he was one of my best friends, and he's like, you know, you got to dress the part. You got to crease your clothes, and so we were creasing our shirts, the sleeves. He had me even creasing my chonies. and my socks. And I was like, come on, man. But it was cool because when we'd go to the school dances, I would have white dicky pants and a blue shirt, and they'd be all creased and breakdancing them. And so it's interesting that I didn't realize what I was doing, you know, to get into this art of painting cars. And it's funny because we have this joke that the real reason why I got into painting cars is because I was born in a car. My father actually delivered me in a car, so I say it was destined to be because I was born in a car. And so that's where it really began. And with the style of clothing and the dancing, it moved up to, as I was in middle school, that I would see these people drive up to the school and they'd be bumping their music and they'd have the cool rims, and I'd see all these people get in the cars, and I thought, man, that'd be awesome to be picked up in one of those cars. And so I thought one day I'm going to have one of those cars. And as life progressed, I obviously I got into high school and I saw more cars. And so I invested in a 1984 Cutlass Sierra Oldsmobile and entered in shop class. And I figured I was going to figure out how to do it. I was going to paint me a car. And so at that time, I also started working for a dealership. And so in between the two, I started like collaborating on how to paint. And what really actually got me down to painting is we were in shop class one day and I had all the guys in class, and the instructor comes out and he goes, okay, who's going to paint the car? And everybody says, no, we ain't going to paint the car. We're not going to do it. And everybody turned around and pointed at me and said, she's going to paint the car. And I was like, I don't want to paint the car. You guys are tripping. Well, guess who painted the car? I walked in and I just handled that and just painted it. And from there, it kind of like, I was like, okay, I'm going to paint cars. I'm going to build my own car. And so when I had my Cutlass Sierra Oldsmobile, the carburetor broke down. And so I went to AutoZone and I got me a book, and I just grabbed the book and I read the instructions and changed out the carburetor. And then me and my friends came over, we got stereo systems and we put our little boombox in, and we tried tinting our own windows and doing all the stereos, and we were going to build it. And unfortunately, it ended up getting totaled before I had the chance to do that. So as I was working at Gus Paulus, this is me back in the days, this gentleman right here, he taught me how to like mask cars and stuff. And at nights they had a night shift at Gus Paulus. And so what they would do, they would have from like, I would go in from school from 6 to 9 and just I'd start to learn to detail cars, clean the cars, do pinstriping, and polish the cars. And as I progressed, this gentleman taught me how to mask, and at night he would do side jobs. The dealership let him do side jobs, which is pretty cool. And I think it's because they had a night crew. And so he started laying out some graphics and stuff of the old school flames. And he would teach me how to do them. He's like, hey, you got to do it this way. And hey, you got to like, people can't always see both sides of the thing, but you got to try to make it the best. And he's like, and then you got to mask it this way, and you got to know which ones to unmask and how to mask it. So I probably had like 3 or 4 people trying to teach me how to mask, which was pretty cool. And over at the dealership, I slowly went from detailing to being the prepper, jamming the parts, which, I mean, that's basically, I think, what I even do when I teach people how to paint. I teach them how to jam parts, and from there, and how to prep. And I think one of the biggest parts is prepping your work. So I started doing a lot of prepping and making paint for the painters, and also masking, painting, just a little bit of everything. But at that point, I felt like I was never going to be a lead painter. So I said, hey, I need to move up. And so they moved me into estimating. So I went in the office and started estimating cars and, and learning the damages and getting familiar with the parts and everything. But unfortunately, everything has to come to an end, and Gus died, and they let go of a lot of people, and I was one of them in the least seniority position. So my journey began, and I began to take another journey to another shop, and it was a small shop. It was called ACS, and it was let's see, ACS was it had maybe like 2 employees and stuff. But what I liked about this shop is that the guy airbrushed, and he did a lot of airbrushing. And so I was like, oh man, this is a great opportunity to learn how to airbrush. And plus he had a bunch of classics there. And what was really cool is, like, even though sometimes I got frustrated with the process of building a car, because sometimes you have to, like, even though people say the body work's done, and when you go to, like, you prime the car and you feel the body work and stuff, it's not always right? So on these classics, because some of the metal has to be worked and it has to be primed, you have to block them and sometimes refinesse it and stuff, and sometimes it has to be reprimed. And so what I mean by I got frustrated sometimes, because sometimes you had to do the process more than once. And he would teach me, like, you just can't take a little block this big. You have to go the length of the panel that is, in order for the panel to be correct and straight. Because if you just hit a little block, sometimes you don't realize that you're creating that dent, and people will walk up and say, it's still dented, but it's not dented. It's because you didn't do the process right. And so what I liked about the shop is that this guy, he took me under his wing, and he taught me the process of properly blocking a vehicle, and the proper way to, not saying I didn't learn at the dealership, but as you grow, you like learn more, right? And so he gave me the opportunity to play with airbrushing and stuff, and I'll show you in some of these videos these pictures that I have of some of the work that we were able to do at that shop. And it was pretty cool, because I was able to get familiar with different techniques, different paints. I was able to mix a lot of different things and try my own paints and say, okay, I'm going to try this. I'm going to try this color. And sometimes it didn't work. And sometimes it was like, wow, I didn't know that mixture would work. So one of the projects that we started doing out of there, we actually, well, let me back up a little bit. We, whoops. Yep, this one right here. So this is my brother-in-law. He's actually the other owner of the Utah State Collision, David Pecco. This is one of the first cars that we did. We didn't do it at ACS, but we did it out of his garage, but it was in the same time frame. And so we took this car, which a lot of people in Salt Lake are probably familiar with. It used to be kind of a green, they used to call it the Gator car. I think Victor's Tires owned it at one time, and we transformed it to this. So then we took this car and we took it down to the shop that ACS that I was working at, and you can't see, I don't have a picture with it, but the black striping on it, it actually has flames on it. And the owner, him and I were able to take it and add a whole bunch of airbrushing on the back. So on the back of the trunk, it had airbrushing, and it was cool because he was teaching us how to airbrush. He's like, hey, you got to do this technique, and showing us the little techniques that are available to use that people don't know, because it's not always freehand. And so, but we were able to learn a lot of the painter techniques, and it was pretty cool. It was quite an experience. But we also were in the shop. It was cool because I had the opportunity to, because it's a small business, to get my name out there a little bit and make the front page of Auto Body News. And it was cool because I am a female painter, and it's hard to find a lot of female painters in Salt Lake, and there's a lot of talented painters. And I know there's a lot of talented female painters out there because I mean, I Google them. I Google painters because I always try to find a design and stuff of different things that I can do it, or I can help a customer figure out and bring their reality, their dream into a reality, right? So yeah, it was a pretty good experience for me. So back to this other car. We decided one day that it wasn't enough. David and I was like, we got to do something else. This car is just yellow. And I apologize for jumping around and stuff, but we decided this wasn't enough. So I decided we had some extra paint. And like I said, we play around a lot with paint and stuff. And I said, how about we do this? And so David will kind of tell me his idea. He'll tell me, I think we should do a silver with the blue and I don't know, maybe some of the graphics on it. And he's like, I'll just tell you what colors and you figure it out. And so we took this car and transformed it to this. I was trying to find a final for you. And then we added some pinstriping on it as well. And then it also went to this. So it took me a minute to get this because I was trying to think of like, how can I put the Oldsmobile, because it's a 77 Oldsmobile, how can I put the Oldsmobile emblem on it? But I wanted to add a little bit of airbrushing and a little techniques to it. And so this is what it came up to be. But it's, you know, as I was doing this presentation and going over it, I started realizing like, dang, I painted a lot of cars and you know, and you don't, it's not necessarily that, but it's like you don't really realize where you come from, you know, because I started out in breakdancing and then I went to a certain way to dress, and from a certain way to dress, I became a painter. And it's interesting because as I didn't even think about where I came from, you know what I mean? And but as this process happens, it's like you don't realize all the accomplishments that you're able to do, and it's pretty cool, you know, and it feels good that like a lot of people in Salt Lake are recognizing lowriders, and to see work out there and to be a strong female in the community, to be an example to people in the community as well, you know. And so I started and this is in my own little room. I don't have it out in the shop, but it's in my own little room. I put up to remind myself every day that I can achieve something. So I got my little award board going up, and I did just barely started putting them up there. But I also this is a pretty cool one with Hondo John and them. He did a lowrider class, and Hondo, he's a really good guy. Some of his work is phenomenal, you know, and just the way they teach the kids and the way they handle themselves of showing what it takes. And it's not just like saying, okay, let's lay out this graphic and show these people that it's this easy. And a lot of people think it's easy, and it's really not. I mean, being a good painter isn't about just putting a paint in a paint gun. It's also about like how to correct the problems, because sometimes people will bring a car to you and they'll say, okay, I did all the body work and it's primed, right? And it doesn't always work that way. There's been a few times like you use their product and there's always paint reactions. And so in my personal opinion, I think being a good painter is learning how to fix the problems, not necessarily always how to make it shine. I think knowing how, if it wrinkles or if it has some type of chemical reaction, or if it like to properly mask it, or whatever the issue may be, is knowing how to fix the issue, you know. And that's what I think. But so what I like to do is have some of the customers come into the shop, and like I told you before, my brother-in-law would tell me, okay, this is what we need to do. And this is how I want to do it. And so here's an example of what I would have as a customer come in. The top one's showing me how he wanted his car. He says, okay, I got this Mustang. It's an older Mustang, and I want you to kind of put it on the car. And so that's what I try to do. I already said before, I try to make customers dream a reality. And so this is one of the vehicles that I did that I made them a reality. And I try to it's crazy because I don't think people sometimes understand colors sometimes, because as you take the color chips out, you have to really point and explain to customers what the flops are on them. And, because they just look at them, really close and they go, oh yeah, I want that color. But I like for customers to look at different angles of vehicles so they could really know what they want. Sorry, I just I lost my train of thought there for a minute.
You got this, Cory. We're really enjoying the process so far.
Okay, good. So let's move on from there. So I one day from ACS, my brother-in-law, he came to me. Actually, he worked with me for a little bit over there. Like I showed you in those other pictures up there, he worked with me. And so he says, hey, I'm going to go open up a business. Let's go. And I said, no, I can't do it. I got to buy a house first. And so one day he came to me and he says, okay, I got a shop now. Let's come over and work for me. I can afford you. And I just chuckled. And I said, man, it wasn't even about that. I was trying to buy a house. So it was pretty good. I've had a lot of experiences over there. When I went over there to do office work. I had no intention. I was like, I'm done. I'm retiring from painting. I'm not painting anymore. And so I went up and I cleaned the office and started doing estimating. Well, to be honest with you, I felt like some people took advantage of them. And I was like, this isn't going to happen. I am going to step back in the paint booth and start painting. So it was pretty cool because we started a TV show called Back at David and Bob's. And I wish I had a little some pictures for you because it's pretty cool. It's still on YouTube, so you can check that out if you'd like to. Back at David and Bob's, and it was fun. It didn't last very long, but we enjoyed it for a minute. And I got to be going over to David and Bob's. I got a lot of opportunities opening up. I mean, we were able to do I think it was a 1985 Camaro that we did for Random Acts of Kindness. It was a charity thing. And from being at David and Bob's, a lot of doors started opening up, and that's where we started doing hydraulics as well, and frames. So you guys all know Nick. You guys talked about Nick. This is one of the frames that we started doing. And at this time, we changed the name to D&B Customs. I'm getting to the point of how we got to Utah State Collision. So this is one of the frames that Nick started doing when we were over at David and Bob's. And this is the transformation of it being painted. But these frames just aren't frames being painted. These frames take a lot of work. In fact, we just built mine. But these frames, what they entail is taking metal and making them wrap around the metal, as you see, all the corners and edges, and weld them and reinforcing them so they can do this kind of thing. So this is the frame under this car. And if you don't properly do the welds right and you don't properly reinforce the cards, there can be very serious consequences. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. I seen a video maybe like 6 months ago where a gal got under the car and the car just landed on her and crushed her. Like, there can be like, if someone doesn't know what they're doing on these cars, or not necessarily that, just they're hoppers, they break, okay, and they take a lot of money, and they to put in them because they don't last forever hopping. And so it's very important that people really look into how they're doing their work. And I feel honored to be a part of building these cars that you guys see in the street. In fact, he just recently took this to one of the lowrider shows. I don't know if it was Colorado or Vegas one, and he showed this car in there. So it's pretty cool. Let me go back to and just show you like some of the graphics. This one, I was able just the Black Magic. They said, "Hey, they told Nick, hey, just let Cory just go around and play with this truck and just let her have fun with it." And so that's what I did. I just took all the colors in my cabinet and just started going at it and just playing around with all the colors on it. And that was pretty fun. You know, and it's fun because the more you do things like this, the better you are at figuring out what customers want. And that's what this one is right here. This customer said he wants a green car, and I try to figure out how they want it. And we ended up two-toning this car. And just like with Chris, the other Chris, this guy's name's Chris, and on here's Chris. And so I try to really show people pieces and not just say, okay, I'm gonna paint your car candy green, because there's 1,000 colors that can be candy, you know? And so I try to show customers different chips and stuff and then put it into their, like I said, their reality. And there's another picture of that car. And this is another piece. Someone told me they wanted a Broncos. And so I started outlining it and doing one of the little tricks for to put it on the back of the car. And I actually really had fun with this, and it turned out really nice. So I laid it out, and then I put some orange candy over the top. This is just a basic orange. And so then I laid some orange candy over it and did a little magic. And then I laid some blue candy over the top. And then they call it marbleizing. And this is what it turned out to be. Like I said, I had a lot of fun with that one. So as the years gone, you know, David and I ended up doing a lot of these cars, and I started working a lot more with candies and stuff. I mean, I worked at them with ACS and a little bit at Gus Paulus and stuff, but as we started doing it just more and more, and just getting what people wanted and figuring out what they want. And so, I mean, and it's pretty cool, like the transformations you see. So you have this customer's car, and it's really interesting because sometimes you look at these cars and you're like, there's no way these cars can turn out that nice. Because you see the process seems forever. And this is the result of it. It ended up going into the Autorama. And there's just some more cars of it being painted. But I have to take it to you, this one. This one's actually my pride and joy. And my brother-in-law, he loves this car. And again, we're co-owners of the dealership and stuff. I mean, not the dealership, of this Utah State Collision. And some of you in Salt Lake probably recognize this one, but here's some of the process you see on this car. It's a 71 Monte Carlo, and it came to us from out of state, but we redid the whole car. There is nothing in that car that is the same. We reinforced this car. We refabricated the back of the metal of it. It's a convertible. We reinforced the top of it. We put new speakers in, the interior's done, the frame is wrapped. We even painted the frame. And it just turned out beautiful. So this car, we actually sanded it, cleared it, sanded it, and cleared it. He said he wanted the clear on for it to look like glass, and it sure did. So I'm gonna move on a little bit. Now that I'm getting into it, there's so much to say. So anyways, we for being a part of the community and being a painter, you know, we at when we moved our shop downtown, and we changed the name to Utah State Collision. And we had a couple employees there, and one of the employees, his name was Fred Alvarez. And we were sitting working on a car one day, and he goes, "You know what, Cory? I've been talking to David Pacheco, and I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to try to bring a car club out to Utah." And I said, "Okay." He's like, "I'll let you know when I do it." And then he goes one day, he goes, "You know that thing I was talking about in the works?" I said, "Yeah." He's like, "We're going to do it." And next thing I know, he's like, "But you're going to be a part of it one day." And so he brought Taking Over chapter to Salt Lake City. And it was pretty cool because I was like, "Car club, all right, let's do it." And I wasn't really a part of it yet, but I was a part of it because, these guys are like my family. And so then when they started out with David Pacheco, Fred Alvarez, and David Martinez, and from there it started growing. What I really appreciate about this car club, it's not about quantity, it's about quality, and that's what Fred always tells me. It's about the quality of the people that are in the car club. It's not even necessary about the quantity, because he wants it to be so that we set an example for the kids, and we are about the community and giving to other people and showing what we're about. And he wants to be able to pass this on to the generation. So that's what I started doing. I was like, okay, we're going to show the kids how to do this and be a part of, make the new generation happen, And so that's what we've been doing. And yes, we got females in here, and it's cool because I didn't realize I'd have an impact on kids. And as I'm hearing, like, I have a member in the club that says, "Hey, do you think my daughter can come down and watch you work one day?" And I was like, "Oh, okay." She's like, "Yeah, she really wants to get into it and build a car." And I was like, "That would be pretty cool." And then I have my David's nephew who lives with me, and he's like, "You know what? I never really liked car shows before, but now I want to build me a bike." And then, plus I got my nieces and nephews, they're like, which are David's kids, they want to be involved in building bikes and cars. And it's interesting because you don't realize that what you do for a living has an impact on so many people, and it's pretty cool because, like, through helping the community and giving to others, that it opens up doors. I mean, like, now I have one of David's nephews staying with me. His name's Junior, and we got him involved in the Penny Project and stuff. And it's crazy because I was talking with one of my workers today, and it's like, she says, "It's interesting how all the doors always open. Like, everybody's connected somehow, like hip hop, rap, like lowriders. It's all connected and charitable for the kids. Like, well, that's what the Penny Project's about. And Taking Over is about, like, helping the kids and helping the community, and so I was telling these kids, like, you have so many opportunities. You don't realize who you can affect. Like, excuse me, you don't realize that, like, through doing your talent, how much you can impact other people, and don't take for granted what opportunities in front of you. And to some of these kids, I told them, I says, being part of a car club and being a painter, like, brings you to meeting people that you can never meet. Like, the other day, we had the opportunity to go pick up Lighter Shade of Brown, Kid Frost, and Troublesome. And you can see there's Fred Alvarez, Kid Frost, and David. Like, this has so many doors. Like, it's not worth getting in trouble to, like, ruin your life when you can be whoever you want. You have so many goals and talents. Like, the sky's the limits of who you want to be. The sky's the limits of what you want to do in your life, and making people happy and making their dreams. And some people's dreams are building cars. And that's what I do for people. I put paint on their cars and build their dream, or help them, I should say. And that's what my crew, I have a really great crew. So I love it because we work as a great team, and so it's just so many opportunities are there. And that's what I tell these kids, like even with the Penny Project, they're doing the 16 bar count right now, and they have the opportunity to open up for Baby Bash. And, like, lowriders go to that stuff, and it's all connected. Everybody's connected somehow, and it's opens up so many opportunities. And that's what I want to tell these kids that watch us, that do the studies. Like, don't give up on your dreams, do it, because opportunities are there. I mean, and this is one of another one of I feel that is a pretty cool achievement is we also had the opportunity, like we made it, David's car, into the Lowrider magazine, I think before COVID, and it's exciting to know that something like that can be accomplished. I mean, we actually took this car, as you see in the middle, it was painted gray and black, and we painted it, and we fixed it, and we transformed it, but we didn't like it. We wanted something different. So that's where the candy red came into play, Whoops. So I'm gonna just show you a few more pictures, and then I'll close up real quick. I'll just go over some of these pictures real quick. So this is just some of the stuff of me getting in the booth and getting down, and just taking care of some little stuff. And like this right here is another piece. Like, there's a lot of work that goes into after just painting a car, like cutting and polishing it. And I personally believe that's a lot of time consuming right there. And I think that's what makes it glassy too, is like making sure the nibs out, making sure you don't feel the graphics, making sure you don't feel the stripes, because there's a lot of times I go look at cars and you rub your hand over it and it's all bumpy, So, and I take pride in what I do. So if I put graphics on something, I want people to feel it glass and like really smooth. And so that's what I'm doing there. This was another one I just had fun with. Someone, we did at a car show, so they were raffling at mailboxes, so I just did something real quick there. Someone wanted to have their car match this little car match their lowrider, so I painted it for them. Now this one was an interesting turn. This one, the customer did the same thing. He says, "Hey, this is what I want. Can you do it?" And so I laid down the stripes on this, and I was kind of like unsure, because usually you see this stuff on mini trucks and stuff. So I'd call him up and I'd say, "Hey, what do you think about this?" And he'd go, "No, let's do this." And so I'd say, "Okay, what do you think about this?" And so this is me working on this car, and you guys probably seen this car out. This was actually a pretty fun one, and I was happy that they loved it. I mean, it's crazy, because you see the transformation from it being painted and with the wheels on, how it looks funky with the wheels, and then to the final on it. I love seeing customers when they have that smile on their face of satisfaction of the end result. And I think that's probably what I admire most, is not necessarily what I do. I love seeing people smile at the end of the day. I love seeing those kids say, "Wow, that's my car," and I love it. I love people getting excited about these cars, because it's exciting and it's joyful, and it keeps people out of trouble. And I love being part of different things, and I love being part of the taking over and Utah State Collision. And anyways, I totally skipped that part, but yeah, we ended up changing our name to Utah State Collision, and now I'm co-owner with my brother-in-law David Pacheco, and we just recently opened up another shop, the mechanic shop, and our business is just growing and expanding, and it's pretty cool to see. Like, you don't realize until you actually look at it. And doing this little segment made me realize how much I have grown and for myself, and because sometimes I just get up the next day and I just do it like it's every day. And I think sometimes I take advantage of that, and it's pretty cool to have your eyes open, that other people are watching you, you know what I mean? And I thank you guys for that, for allowing me to be a part of this. I mean, here's another one. We did a setup. Nick did this setup, and we painted the batteries. Just going to show you a few more pictures. because I know we're getting there on time. And this is another one we did. We did DMB customs on it. I mean, it's just crazy because like the transformations of these cars is just incredible. I mean, because 1 minute they're one way and then the next minute they have rims and a paint job and a system in it, and it's really cool. This customer, he wanted to have a matching car and a matching bike, so I painted them both, and that turned out really nice. I really, that's probably one of my favorite ones. But like I said, the transformation of these cars are incredible. So, but I just want to say thank you, and I hope that you know, you guys learn for something that I have. You know, it's hard being a female in the community because, oh, that's the other thing. It's crazy because like there's been times that I'll go up to customers and I'll ask them to help them, and they'll kind of like look at me like, you're gonna help me? And I'm like, yeah, what can I do for you? And anyways, it's interesting because sometimes people take advantage of, excuse me, sometimes people don't realize like the type of talent that's out there. They'll look at me because I'm a female, but then, and they're talking to David, and David's trying to ask sell the sell. And then when David says, hey, Cory, come over here. And they look at me and I try to answer questions, and sometimes they'd brush me off. And I'm like, okay, you don't want to talk to me, you know, see who paints your car then. I chuckle and I walk off. But then it's pretty cool because he goes, oh, no, you need to talk to her. She's the one that's going to be painting your car. And they kind of like fuck her up and they go, oh, okay. And then, you know, it's cool. I mean, I make a friend off of it. But I don't like, it's like, it's a man dominating world. It really is. But it's crazy that sometimes people doubt who you are, you know, just because of being a female or something, you know. And but I'm proud to be able to be an example to kids and females in the community, because that way they know that their goals and their achievements are the limits. And so I am honored that you guys had me on this for the opportunity to kind of share my experience. This is the first time I've ever done a Zoom, so it's kind of like a little nervous, but I appreciate you guys, and I give the board to you, Chris. Thank you.
I think you did an absolutely excellent job for being your first time on Zoom. I didn't know that. I would have helped you out a little more in the process of getting set up, but you know, I think you did excellent.
I had someone who's going to help me. And they just kind of disappeared. And so last night, my sister's like, I learned how to do it all last night.
Oh, for sure. Well, I'm glad you did, and glad that you're here sharing some of that. You know, I've seen some of your work firsthand, coming out of the shop in person and at car shows and whatnot. And after asking around, and when they said, oh yeah, Cory painted this car and that car, you know, at the shows, I said, I got to talk to this person. That's how I ended up at Utah State Collision and meeting David and getting there. And for everybody else who this may not have been mentioned, Cory painted my car. And I was very happy with how it turned out. I was telling Carla a second ago that when I was picking colors, you actually recommended that I go slightly darker on the silver on my car. And I was kind of like, well, I like the lighter color, but you said, I think a little darker, but you know, it's up to you. You kind of left it to me. And I said, okay, no, you're an artist. I've seen your work. I trust it. And I love how it came out. I mean, I absolutely put that trust in you. And it was a really cool car. And that's why when I was putting this together, I said, I got to have Cory come and participate in this, you know, share some of her story, her perspective. And just like you said, sometimes you get brushed off just because of who you are. And that's unfortunate. But for me, that was the reason that I wanted you to paint my car, because I'm like, that's someone who sometimes gets turned away, but I want this to happen, right? It's part of the, we talked about earlier how a car or a bike or whatever is an extension of who we are. And so each car is not just how it is now, but there's a story behind it. And so to me, you are part of that car's story, right? And in fact, really quickly, just because I wanted to show folks, this is Cory and some of the crew at Utah State Collision. Nice. with my car right there, right? This is, as soon as it came out, that's the day I picked it up from the shop. In that photo, it still needs some polishing, and I changed the wheels and add all the accessories and whatnot, but like that's how it came out, and I was very happy with it. So I had to ask her, since you're part of this story and this whole crew here, I need to have this photo, right? So, so there it is. I can share more of it like
I
on
like
its
that
own
photo.
later on, but yeah, and actually, if you'd like, I can send it to you because you're in it, and I don't think I ever shared that with you, but yeah. Um, some of the comments here from Mark saying, "Thank you, Cory. Very inspiring words for the youth and for us old dogs as well." Lou DeJesus is saying, "Thank you so much. I'm honored to hear your story. You are a living legend." John, of course, reiterating, nicely done. So let's take the last few minutes here to ask Cory some questions, or maybe share some more things that inspired you from her
Thank you,
presentation.
everybody.
I know it's been a long conference, and some of the energy seems to be kind of, we're a little tired, but I'm still super excited and still happy to be
Oh no,
doing
I'm
this.
okay. I
But
watched the first conference and I was like, people are gonna see the second conference. So
yeah,
online stuff, it's crazy how it works, and so I'm not worried.
absolutely. This will be uploaded later on, and I hope we get more views. I know that it's also a Friday, so it is a work day and people are kind of busy, but once it's uploaded, hopefully more people will check it out and it'll spread even further.
Right.